Hey everyone, Hammad here. Welcome to my channel, Cloud with Hammad, DIY Cloud Learning to Inspire. For today, our cloud series with AWS, I will be reviewing AWS storage services, specifically Amazon S3, which is simple storage service. We'll touch base on introduction of S3, what are the classes and functions and features are, what type of pricing tiers are, encryption and security, versioning, most importantly, lifecycle management. We'll also discuss a little bit about performance, S3 Glacier. In the end, what we'll do is we'll do a quick lab in which I will create a bucket, upload a document, and then version that document. And then also what we'll do is we'll actually go online and download a static website code and upload that code into S3, and we'll run a website off that S3. So before we start doing that, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe, like, and share. I would really appreciate it. And then without further delay, alright guys, so as you can see, I'm already logged into my AWS console. This is basically the landing page once you log into your console. Now the first thing what we do is we're going to pull S3, which is the S3 bucket. You can get to S3 bucket by either clicking onto all services, and you can click here and go all the way to storage, and this is where S3 is, or you can also type in S3 here and it should pull up S3 bucket. So I'm going to click here. Once you click here, it will get to your S3 landing page, and it tells you all the details about the bucket, and if there is anything open, any bucket open or anything like that, it would show up here. So I'm gonna go here and show you a little bit. So right now I don't think we have anything, so the whole bucket is empty. So we will create a bucket. So as we mentioned earlier, what is bucket? Bucket is actually, I consider it as a container for data to be stored in S3. You can upload videos, document into S3. I think the first thing is for you to create an S3 bucket in any of the AWS region, which is like east or west. It depends on where you want to store your data. The closest to your location, it's what is like advice because of the data charges. You can create bucket using S3 provided API. Or you can have it through a console. Also, I think I mentioned to you the bucket needs to be globally unique. That means the namespace has to be shared across all AWS accounts. So if you have a bucket that you want to name and that name is already taken by somebody, you won't be able to have that. So you need to have a unique name. Like I mentioned earlier, if it's Hammad.com, if I'm Hammad whatever, and if somebody has already taken Hammad, then I won't be able to get that bucket name. So it has to be Hammad123. So it is globally across every region. It says that you cannot take a bucket from another AWS account also, unless that bucket is deleted, right? I also think that, like I mentioned earlier, that bucket needs to be created close to where your work needs to be done or where your users are, so that to optimize the latency speed and minimize the cost and any regulation requirements. So if you work in United States and you have a bucket in UK, England, then there might be some regulation, some requirements from the government that you need to follow certain laws or certain rules like HIPAA laws or something like that. So I think the best is for you to choose the region which is geographically close to you. Okay, so let's create a bucket first. Once I create a bucket, now in here, as always, you can get some more detail about bucket from here. You just need to give the name of the bucket. So I would say I can do Fremont, USA, just for the sake of it. This is the region. You can set wherever you are close to. I'm actually in the west, but I'm gonna use it as east one. That's okay for me. And then if you by any chance have an or other more buckets and that you want to inherit a copy of that bucket, you can select here, and in that list it's going to show you all the buckets. Select that, and then it will basically inherit the bucket setting which is previously created. Okay. And then block all public IP. This is basically, I would say, like Amazon S3 public access features, like access point, bucket, and account to help manage public access to Amazon S3 resources. So by default, these are all new bucket, access point, objects. They are not allowed publicly to be accessed. You can modify by unchecking it, so that the bucket you can modify the policy. These are the policies to basically I would say uh, publicly access for any access point policy, object permission, or even allow public access to all these topics that are listed up here. It says turning a setting on during following settings, four settings. Each of the following settings are independent of one another. So they are independent. You can see all the detail. And then I would say S3 block, like block public access settings, override these policies and permissions. So you can limit public access. Bottom line is you can limit public access to these resources. S3 also block public access providers. These are the four settings that I mentioned. You can apply these settings in, I think, combination of individual access point, bucket, or entire AWS account. And if you apply these settings, it applies to all the bucket and access point that are owned by that particular account. And that means that I have this account. If I apply this policy, it will be applied to the entire account. Similarly, if you apply the setting to any of these, it will apply to these settings, and that's how I would consider that. I mean, the documentation is there. I would also say I would encourage you to go ahead and go through this document for further review on those. Versioning is actually, I think I will mention it. It's another S3 versioning is S3 like a point where you can keep multiple file variant of an object in the same bucket. So you can use S3 versioning feature to provide retrieval and restore every version of object that is stored in your bucket. You can also recover from both like if somebody deleted it and they deleted it and now they want that back, you can go back and recover it because you had a versioning enable. So and these are like S3 read write request for some objects simultaneously, so it stores all those objects in there. And then tag, as always, we have talked about tags. You can give tags. Encryption, I think we already said about encryption that you can have Amazon S3 has default encryption disabled. I would say all the new objects are encrypted when they are stored in the bucket. The objects are encrypted using server-side encryption and with Amazon S3 managed key, that is SSE S3, or customer master key CMK stored in AWS Key Management Service. And then the advanced setting, we can talk a little bit about that. Object lock, I think we already talked about it, that with object lock, you can store object using read once, write many. It means that, it helps you to prevent object from being deleted or overwritten for a fixed amount of time. I think it's on or indefinitely. It will help you to meet regulatory requirement, like it's for read, write, storage. Simply add another layer of protection or against any object change to the deletion. Object lock, you can enable it here and then it will go from there. So the next thing is we're going to just create the bucket. Once we create the bucket, it says successfully create bucket, and then now you would do view detail. And now you have a bucket that is created. So if I go back to S3, you can see there is a bucket created. Before that, we did not have a bucket. Fremont USA, East US, bucket are an object are not public because I did not uncheck it, and then it was created in here. Let's go into this bucket. Once we get to this bucket, this is bucket level, so you can see the object, all we discussed, and then property. Let's go to property, quickly discuss, and then we can just move on from there. Again, ARN, resource name, and then this can be used for SNS or Lambda function to trigger these resources. Bucket versioning, I think we already talked about for bucket, which is disable, encryption, okay, so for intelligent tiering, I think we already talked about it earlier, that, I would say S3 Intelligent Trading is an S3 storage class designed to optimize storage costs for automatically moving data to most cost-effective access tier without operational overhead. So it is only the cloud storage that delivers automatic cost saving by moving data or like in a different level access tiers when access pattern changes. So let's say intelligent tiering is a perfect storage class when you want to optimize storage cost for data that is unknown or unchanged, and there is no retrieval fee for S3 intelligent tiering. So you pay a small monthly fee to monitor and automation fee. So S3 monitors the access pattern and move the data automatically to another tier just to make sure the cost is being saved. So if a file is not being used, it would move it to another tier so that the storage cost is not being used. So it can move to all the way to archive as well for certain names when we do a policy setup. And then server access logging. These are server access detailed record of requests that are made to the bucket. So if I'm accessing a bucket, server access log are useful for many applications. Like if I access a log information, it can be useful for security reasons or access audit, who accessed this bucket. So it can also help to learn about what your customers are and understand your Amazon S3 bill, that, hey, who accessed this, who saved the files, what was the reason for failing. So access login basically records all the logging information for S3. And then obviously event notification, you can enable that in S3 bucket event to send notification message to a destination whenever the event occurs. So even if you have a Lambda function or SNS topic or SQSQ, you can set this on and they will trigger a function. You can SMS it or email it a message saying that, hey, your bucket is full or you need to delete this and blah, 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 And I say for transfer acceleration, it's a bucket level feature that enables fast and easy secure transfer of file over long distance between you and your client, or even the bucket between the client. It take advantage of globally distributed edge location. I think we talked about it earlier, using CloudFront. As the data arrives at the edge location, the data is routed to Amazon S3 over optimized network path. So they have an optimized network path for transfer acceleration. And then object lock, we already talked about it. And then requester pay, I think this is basically bucket owner. Like we know that if we don't enable this, the bucket owner pays for S3 storage and data transfer costs that are associated with this bucket. But typically, if you configure to enable this, the requester pays bucket when you want to share data between, but not, I don't want to incur charges associated with other when somebody else accessing the data. For example, requester pays bucket when making available large data sets such as zip code integration, directory referencing data. So you set this enable so that whoever is accessing the bucket will pay for the access of that bucket rather than me paying for it. And then the last thing is static web hosting. This is, we will do a quick lab at the end. Basically, you can use S3 to host static website. On static website, individual page includes static content that might be contain client-side scripts. So you can host your static website on this S3 and enable this feature. It will display your website. By contrast, the dynamic websites relates to server-side processing. So including server-side script like such as like PHP, JSP, or ASP. Amazon does not support server-side scripting, so but it has other resources to host dynamic websites. I think we can use like different web app services. I think one of them is Lightsail. You can use that to do dynamic hosting. Okay, so enough talking. So you can set permission. Right now, I think we already have talked about, we have enable all block all public access, which is on. So we're gonna hit edit and we will uncheck all of them, and I will save. And it's gonna ask me that updating block public access will affect bucket within on an object all within. I would say yes, and then I would hit confirm. Once that is done, metrics is basically giving a little bit more detail about your bucket. They're available in CloudWatch. It tells you total bucket size, number of objects. So this is, we will see in the end as well. Management is basically the life cycle. So I think we already talked about it. How do you set up your lifecycle rule? You know, storage class, archiving them, how it works. Replication rule is similar. Like how do you set up your replication so that it can be replicated to another zone with save cost in order to save cost. Okay, so let's go here and let's try to upload a file to here. So Fremont, USA. I would upload, and I would add a file. I already made a file, so I'm going to use that file as a sample file, and then text one, and I will, permission is all, we have make sure that the permission is granted to public, access control is predefined, and then storage, the classes we will talk about. We'll move this standard to Glacier in a bit, in a second here. So I will save it, and over here it still asks that, hey, bucket policy required encrypted upload. I would hit tag if you want to do, and I would hit upload. So you can see it quickly update because it was a small file, and then now the file is basically uploaded. If I click on this file, it tells you that, you know, this is the S3. I think it's still not public, so I'm just going to try this out here for a second. So yeah, it's not open yet. So let's go back here. It tells you all the owner, region, ARN, tag, object URL. So if you open this file, it gives you access denied because it is not completely public. So I'm going to go back and hit permission, hit edit. and then I would say read. That is, everyone publicly access can read this. Okay, so I would save, and then there is another place where you can go and make changes to that file as well. I'm going to show you in a second. I understand, and I save. Once you get here, also you can also do the same thing by clicking here, and then in this file you select this and hit action, and then go all the way at the bottom here. It says make public. Right now it's already public, but I can show you how it works. So I would click public and then publicly. Now if I refresh this page, I think it should show up the version 1. So now you can see that file is public and it is uploaded, and it's number 1. Now this is the first example. The next thing what we're going to do is we will enable versioning so that you can see how the versioning take place. So versioning usually take place on the bucket level. So I go back here, I click here, and then once we get here, we were just going to select the, sorry, my mouse is a little clanky here. Okay, so for versioning, we click on this folder, and then once we have that, we would go to properties, and then once we get to properties, we can edit versioning and enable. And basically we're enabling versioning, so we're going to save it. Now the versioning is enabled, everything is ready. We're going to go back here in our S3 bucket. Now you can see that, you know, object is public. You can view them. Click here. Now we will upload the same file, but we'll change. So over here you can see show versioning. Right now there is nothing in the versioning section, so you won't see anything in there. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna upload a file. So before we do that, let's do one more thing here. So text 2 has version 2. Actually, no, we don't want to do that right now. Let's click on here for a second. Let me show you. So this is another file that I opened, that is text 2. I'm just going to copy this so that it's easier for you to see. Copy this, and I will close this, and then I will open text 1, the one that we uploaded already, so that the name are same, but the material is different. So it says version 2. Click X, and I will save it. And then now I will add the same file, which is text 1, and I will click open. I will upload, and it is saved. And then now you have text 2 uploaded, which we don't needed it. Text 1 is uploaded. And so if I close here and I do show versioning, you should see that now there are two type of text 1. One is the original one that we uploaded, the one that we saw with version 1, and there is another one that we uploaded with modification. And the version ID, this is the key ID. Version ID tells you how many, like this, it generates automatically that there is another file. So if I click on this file, and then, you know, if I want to access that, I want to make sure that, you know, it is permission is there. So denied, obviously. So we can go here and quickly make it public, public, and now it is public. So if I refresh it, it should show up as version 2. So now you can see that version 2, same file, we made an update and it is created. Also, similarly, if let's say if I accidentally deleted the file, and you can restore it, there are different ways, but just we're gonna show you quickly how to delete the file and how do you want to see the delete markers are set. So if I click down here and I show versioning, and let's say if I deleted this file, sorry, the mouse is crazy today. And let's say if I deleted this file, and it's going to say this is a soft delete. That means that it is permanently deleted. So let's change it back. So go back. Select this one and delete it. Okay. Wow, the system is slow today. Now you can delete. And file is deleted. Now there is no file of text1 in there. So if I go here on the main bucket, you can see there is only one file, that is text2. The version 1 is gone. So if I hit show version, you can see that there are different versions, and then there is a delete marker for this file. You can restore this by just clicking on and get that. Otherwise, you know, this is a standard. So let me show you one more thing. So if I wanna, let's say, move the tier. So let's say if I click here, this is actually still private right now. So we haven't, you know, enabled permission here. Cloak here is in a storage class, and now you can move this file into whatever you want. I think we already talked about it. Right now it is standard, that is frequently accessed, or you can move it to intelligent here. We talked about intelligent here a little bit. And then this is also standard infrequent access. Like this is standard frequent access, but it is infrequent. Like, and then availability zone, it tells you 3 days, 30 days duration. All the details are here, and this chart is also pasted on the website as well, and you know, per GB. So we can actually move this file to be deep glacier. Let's do glacier. And long-term data archive with retrieval timing range from minutes to an hour, 30 days and 90 days minimum. And so I'll just select that, and I will save the changes. And it saved the file onto, it's changed the status of the class. Now the object is stored in Glacier class. So I can restore it. If I restore it, like it isn't in Glacier, so it's not frequently accessed. But if I initiate restore, it tells me that, hey, you know, it gives me access. It asks me, hey, you know what, when do you need it? 5 to 12 hours, 3 to 5 hours, even in a minute. So it costs to get that right away, and I can hit restore initiated, and it would initiate the resource. Okay, so go back here, and then in the bucket you can see that I have 2 different type of storage class listed here. One is standard, that is the one that we deleted. This is the delete marker. We can restore that to standard. And then text2 is Glacier. You can see that there's a Glacier file. It moved to Glacier, and there is a versioning that was done in standard as well. This can get deleted eventually because it will move into standard. Anyways, so that is how you would create a bucket, move data back and forth, set permissions. And if I go in metrics, let's see if we have anything open here. Not yet. Still data is not populated. Okay, so let's do this. Let's create another bucket. For that, what we'll do is we'll actually go to a website so that we can download the codes. I think I've seen most of the people going to this location and downloading the code. We'll do the same thing. We'll get here and we'll paste this website. And so this is like a sample code that are all there. You can download any of those HTML up file from there, and it will basically, you can like download any of the codes and run a website. It's just for you to see how you can host a static web page on S3. So we can pick, I think we can pick any of them, I guess. Let's do this one. Let's do this one. So it's going to download, and it will extract the data. So I'm going to extract the data and come back and show you how you can upload the file and then go from there. Okay. All right, guys. So I downloaded the file and extracted it. So my file got extracted. So I downloaded this file and extracted it to this. So now what we'll do is we'll actually upload these files into our S3 bucket. For that, what we'll do is first we'll go here, and then we will create a bucket first. Let's create a bucket, and I can say my first web page. You can do whatever name you want, and it will be in US. If you want to choose bucket setting, right now I can, because if I click on it, you can see I have a bucket here. I can inherit these settings for now. And then, you know, public access, I would just use this, uncheck it. Also, I want to acknowledge that this, yes, I'm okay to make it public. And then, you know, versioning, encryption is okay. Advanced setting, I would actually set up a let's do, oh, maybe not. I would just disable it. I will leave it like this for now. Click create bucket. It already been taken. So page 1, 2, 3, 4, or maybe, okay. So Fremont bucket web page. I don't think that would be there. So click create. So now it created that bucket, and then we have 2 buckets. So we'll get into this bucket. Nothing in there. We want to make sure we check property. And also up here, there's an option says static web hosting. I would hit edit. Okay, first let's upload the file first because I want to explain something here too. So click here and then hit upload. And then now you have place where you can either hit add file or add folder. So if I add file, you know, and I go to, I think it was in document, I think it was in compressed file, download, compress, and then I think this is the one. You can do it one by one, or you can just drag and drop. So I would, or you can add folder if you like. What we'll do is we'll drag and drop the file so that, you know, it's easier for us to move the file from there. So let's open this. I would select this, and I would hit and copy, drag it here. Now it's saying it's preparing file, so there are almost 77 files total there's folders and subfolders, about 3.5 meg. Scroll down here, permission. I would select permission, and then in the specify, you can enable the permission from the root folder as well, but I would just select everyone can access, read, and you just need to select this one, but you can do that one as well. And then I understand, click OK, and I would upload. Now you can see that 76 files are being uploaded. 39 minutes. No. So, it's going to upload the file in a few seconds here. In the meantime, what we can do is we can actually go here to our bucket, and we want to make sure, actually let me show you first here once this gets updated almost. So it will upload a file, it will upload all the files, subfiles, but there's in the root file, which is index.html, or if there's any error message that comes into the folder, you can create an error.html file. So in order for static, in order for S3 to know which file to run, that means the root file, you need to define that. So first we need to I need to show you how to get to the S3 and how to get to the static location where you can change it. So let me show you this here. If I close this here, and then if I scroll down, you can see everything is there. All the files are updated, and I'm talking about this file, index.html. You can edit this or whatever, but you need to tell S3 bucket to which file to pick up. So for that, you just need to go to properties, and then go all the way at the bottom, and then right now it is disabled, so that is not going to work. So if I hit edit and I would hit enable, that means that we are enabling this bucket to host static pages, and then you can also redirect as well to another page if you want to. I would just over here you need to define the root file, so index HTML, and if there is an error file that you created that had anything that let's say if something breaks down, it shows that hey, the website is not working. We don't have any file like that, but I'll just still put it as rather than leaving it default. And I would hit, you can have JSON folder. You can, if you have a JSON file that you can use to do that, you can also set up if save. And once you hit save, that's it. It is done. So at the bottom, it would open up a web page, a link. It will give you a link. You can copy this link, or you can click here, and it should open up a web page, Fremont, and web pages, website, and it probably would taking time to load the web pages, or permission. It's all set up, but this is how you would load the web page. Okay, so let's say if you want to use this in Route 53, if you want to, I mean, not part of this lab, but let's do quickly Route 53. You can go to hosted zone. So I have one domain. Okay, so we are here in public hosted. I believe I needed to have the same name for Route 53 in order for me to have this domain, so I think we're just going to skip this. What I'm trying to say is, in order for you to run it off Route 53, you need to have the same domain name as a bucket name. So if I copy this and go back to S3 console, and I would just go back here. Actually, let's do another one. I think the video is a bit lengthier than what's supposed to be, but it's good practice here. So let's create a bucket and give it a name. Oh, actually, let's do this. I would use the bucket settings. I would use this setting, choose bucket, and and uncheck all the public. Okay, create bucket. I would go here and let's pick up any download file, this one here. So I'm going to download this. It already downloaded. I would open it. Go one here. It's in download file. I'll extract it. I will just leave it at download, compress, click OK. Now it hopefully it extracted in that same folder. So I close this here. Open there for a second here. So it did not. It probably did not. So let's do a quick check here. Here's the file, so I'll extract it here. So now we should have a folder. So what we'll do is we'll copy all this. So what we'll do, instead of doing upload, we'll just hit. We created this folder, right? So now what we'll do is we'll go in here and we'll hit upload, and we'll drag everything in from there to. So this is dimension, so we are uploading in here. Permission, we can set permission. I don't need to do tag right now. We'll upload this here, and I need to agree. Alright, so the file is uploaded. All the text and index.html files should be here too. I would close this, and I would go to the property, and I scroll all the way to the bottom, and I would hit edit, enable, and I would just say root document error. We don't have any pay, so we'll just save. Now we want to make sure that it is working, so we'll just click on this one. So the website is working now. So again, we're going to go back here to domain, and I'll try to see if I can add a record here. So click add record, and then I want to create an A record, and then hit alias. See if I can pull up the endpoint, if it created the endpoint. So scroll down all the way to S3 endpoint, website endpoint, and I think we are in East region. Actually, we are in global, so it doesn't really matter, but we created the bucket in East. I remember from what I think I remember from there. Click here. And then here you go. You have S3 website in East 1. So click that, create record. And it created a location. So now if I go here and copy this, we have created a record. It says S3. And I go up here and type in this, and it should pull up our website that we created. All right, so I think this was good to know. Just make sure whatever your domain name is or a record is, it matches the bucket for you to upload your code. Let's go back to our S3 console. Everything all good. Oh yeah, I think we should also check the metrics. This one probably didn't have much. I think it won't have right now, but I think we can go to a previous one just to check it out. Click here. Let's see if we have any metrics here. No data, okay. Usually it does populate. It's good to see. All right, so I guess there's no enough data here. So anyways, that will be it for the lab. I would definitely practice. Feel free to reach out. The document is like more like an overview of what I prepared. Feel free to review them. Also, in order for you to delete those buckets, you need to make sure you empty the bucket. So you cannot just delete it. You need to make sure you clean it first from inside all the stuff, and then delete it. Otherwise, it's going to give you error message. That will be it for our lab. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a little longer than it's usual, but it was a little bit more detail about the S3 introduction. If you like the video, please subscribe, obviously like, and share with friends. And until next time, have a great day. All right, so I guess there's no enough data here. So anyways, that will be it for the lab. I would definitely practice. Feel free to reach out. The document is like more like an overview of what I prepared. Feel free to review them. Also, in order for you to delete those buckets, you need to make sure you empty the bucket. So you cannot just delete it. You need to make sure you clean it first from inside all the stuff, and then delete it. Otherwise, it's going to give you error message. That will be it for our lab. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a little longer than it's usual, but it was a little bit more detail about the S3 introduction. If you like the video, please subscribe, obviously like, and share with friends. And until next time, have a great day.